Chapter 1. Introduction. Forgiveness. I often feel that some of the greatest teachings that Jesus gave were those he gave from the cross during his passion. There are different sayings that make up the words from the cross. For me, the most powerful ones are, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing." The main message of Jesus, or a Christed being, seems to me to be forgiveness, knowing there is nothing to forgive. The word sin means missing the target. We try our best, but for whatever reason, usually karmic, we fail and hurt others. The portrayal in the painting is of a Christed being, one that has entered unity consciousness and has unconditional love for all created things. The heart-mind of the Christ knows that the great I Am is the creator of all things. This truth is contained within the mystery of the Trinity. One way of understanding the Trinity is to see the Father as the source, the creator, the Son as creation. This includes the human body, i.e., our body is part of the created world. Our body could also be called our DNA technology bodysuit and is our avatar in a virtual reality world. It is powered by the Holy Spirit, the breath of life. Under this understanding, we are the Trinity. A more detailed explanation is provided in the chapter on the Trinity. Chapter. When you recognize your own connection to Jesus or the great I Am, you will know you are one being gnosis. Everything becomes the play of form and emptiness, the great Leela. In unity consciousness, it becomes immediately obvious that as one being, any judgment you make about the other person is pointless, as you are judging yourself. Judgment only adds to the hurt in the world. In any case, using this small human brain, it is not possible to figure out all the complex karmic stories playing out over a huge number of lifetimes. In these circumstances, it's best to leave judging up to God. This is mentioned quite a few times in the Bible. Judge not, that you be judged. Perfectly said. It is not our role to judge. We can apply discernment, but not judgment. There is no punishment. As it says in the Bible at the end, the stuff that is categorized as evil will be sent to the fires. I believe the fires refer to a huge violet flame vortex that is like a brilliant light, a fire like in a nuclear explosion that will completely delete the virus-infected program that has led to so much corruption in the world. The new age will be activated by the removal of this virus or parasite, the parasite virus that is living off us, like in the Matrix film. The machines or spirit world, red astral world, live of the fear energy of the human pods. Spiritual court of equity. Spiritual court of equity is a term used by Andrew Bartzis. They are the ones who will judge, and they will be the ones to sort the wheat from the chaff. They can read the Akashic record, the record of everything, every thought, word, and deed. It is all recorded by the virtual reality. The spiritual court of equity can see everything. It will be rather like watching a TV recording of a football match. There will be no hiding the truth. Names for the painting. I had quite a few ideas for the name of the painting. Here are a few that may resonate with you. The painting tries to encapsulate all these. Adam Kadmon, Know Thyself. Parsifal, Christ the Shaman. Be Prepared, Shambhala Warrior. The Jubilee, Vitruvian Man 2. Neo, Servant of the Kingdom. Omega Point, Avatar. I settled on Ecce Homo as the name for the painting, mainly because it sums up our path from an ordinary man to Ecce Homo. Below is a brief description of why any of the above names could have been used. Adam Kadmon. Adam Kadmon is the name of the original Adam before he ate of the tree of good and evil, a kind of pure human being with extra-dimensional powers. The ordinary Adam, or the first Adam, had been dumbed down to suit a particular group of beings' objectives. The story goes that the dumbed-down version was created by switching off most of the DNA. This alteration to our DNA is confirmed by modern genetic mapping. This shows that we have two chromosomes that have been merged together. Homo sapiens, i.e. US, has only 46 chromosomes, whereas most other simians, apes, have 48. Apparently, the 47th chromosome configuration is not stable, and anyone with this anomaly dies very quickly. So is not evolutionarily selected by natural selection by the fittest, a possible proof that Darwin's theory is only partially true. This theory needs a major overhaul, But that is another story. We are proof, or rather our DNA, that we did not evolve from apes. We were genetically engineering or seeded somewhere, possibly in Africa, probably not far from where I am writing this, possibly at Adam's Calendar. Adam's Calendar is the name given to a stone circle in the Drakensberg Mountains. The name was given by Michael Tellinger. I visited the place and it certainly feels like a place that has had a profound role in the story of life on Earth. South Africa has a lot of relatively unknown sacred sites. I have recently visited Sterkfontein Caves just outside Pretoria, where the oldest human bones have been found. They were nicknamed Little Foot and are believed to be over a million years old. The theory postulated in this book is that there were earlier hominoid versions genetically created. The one that we have descended from is Homo sapiens, which is the fifth version. All the other versions were destroyed, including the disappearance of Neanderthal man. When these switched-off DNA codes are activated, which is happening now, we will quickly evolve into the more advanced version of a human. This version will be closely aligned with the perfect ratio phi, and will live in harmony with nature again. I believe we will get our superpowers back. Superman is more than a comic book story. I believe that we are destined to advance up to a higher level of existence. The more advanced human will be so full of joy at being himself, i.e. as one being, that any thought of war or anything negative will not arise. This is the bliss body of a Buddha, and more about this will be explained later. The path to get there is not easy and not for the faint-hearted. For a great introduction to understanding the path, please see Open's wonderful book Divinicus. It has sections on our history and our possible future as a more highly evolved human, called by Open Homo Divinicus. My understanding is that Homo Divinicus and Barbara Marx Hubbard's Homo Universalis are all referring to the same thing, i.e., the next stage in our evolution, know thyself. This is the great Apollyon command. I first saw it in a building in Ulverston, at the NKT temple there. It had been carved into the wooden banisters in the main hall, and probably predates the arrival of the Buddhists. Noster ipsum is Latin for know thyself. No one knows for certain who invented this motto, maybe Heraclitus or even Pythagoras. It was also used by Plato when he wrote in Phaedrus that Socrates uses the maxim know thyself as his explanation to Phaedrus for why he has no time for mythology or other far-flung topics. Socrates says, "But I have no leisure for them at all, and the reason, my friend, is this. I am not yet able, as the Delphic inscription has it, to know myself. So it seems to me ridiculous, when I do not yet know that, to investigate irrelevant things. It is simple to understand. You will find all the answers within yourself. It is just a question of how deep you want to go." It was also the key teaching of Jesus about the kingdom within, Parsifal. To be quite honest, this was a very close contender for the title. I love the story of the pure fool made wise through compassion, Wagner's last opera, and perhaps his greatest. I am a big fan of his operas, The Ring Cycle, Lohengrin, The Swan Knight, which would also be a contender for the title, and many others. Parsifal stands apart as a very special opera. It is a beautiful mix of themes from medieval tales, the Grail Knights, with Christian themes, the Easter music, with lots of Buddhism thrown in, the compassionate knight who saves Amfortas, the Grail King who has a wound that will not heal. It is through going to the magic garden of Kingsler and resolving the sexual issue with Kundry that Parsifal is made whole and can heal the sacred wound of Amfortas. The themes here are so profound it probably needs a whole book on its own. Parsifal is the wounded healer. Another name for the painting? Christ, the shaman. This was the title of an amazing spiritual program run by Anaya Sophia, who has written a book on the Rose Knight, which could also be a name of the painting. Anaya lives in Mary Magdalene country in the south of France near Rennes-Château. The image provided by Anaya to concentrate on just before the meditation is a white lion, or a Christed lion, i.e. one of the white lions, that live in South Africa near Timbavati. They are being hunted and only a few remain, mostly in captivity. It is a crying shame that we humans can kill such noble creatures for pleasure, so-called hunting. Christ the shaman sums up the necessary work we need to do to be in the kingdom of the Anointed One. we become a Christed being, i.e. anointed with love and compassion, knowing it is all one being expressed in any forms, the many in one. I know this phrase is paradoxical. You will find as you go to any deep in your spiritual work that it gets very paradoxical. For example, one of the great mysteries is that the now is both imperfect and seems to be getting more imperfect all the time, and at the same time it is perfect as it is created by the great Creator. There is no shame, guilt, or anything else, as Christ the shaman. You can forgive everything, and everything can be loved unconditionally, i.e. just because it exists. The shamanic path is not an easy one, but one that I believe critical to make any real progress on the path to healing yourself so that you can take the Christ initiations. The painting refers to the first initiation. In some traditions, the first two are preliminaries, and the start of the journey is the third initiation. The initiations are explained by Alice Bailey in her book, The Rays and Initiations. This book is not recommended, and I only refer to bits of it in the rest of this book. I found it helpful to understand the first few initiations of becoming a Christ. Here they are. First initiation is birth into unity consciousness, which happened to Jesus over 2,000 years ago in Bethlehem. We go through a human world of separation before becoming aware at a deep level that we are all one being. When you enter unity consciousness and see everything as part of the one being, you take the first initiation. You give up judgment, as you would only be judging yourself. When you look at another human being, you see the complexities of that person's upbringing, karmic timelines, and the person's talents and gifts. From this place, it is not possible to judge. The only person who can judge is the one experiencing the particular situation. When you know yourself, you are fit to judge yourself if you want. But it is easier to stay in the sacred neutral, which will be explained later. Second initiation is baptism. For Jesus, that was when he was baptized by John the Baptist. The second initiation is a purification process, and may take a while. You need to get free of all sorts of patterns and addictions, both physical and mental. Key part of this is caring for your body as the temple body by eating healthily, preferably vegetarian. The purification process is explained in a bit more detail in appendix of my book, One Way Zen. Third initiation is the transfiguration. This happened to Jesus when Jesus took Peter, John, and James up on Mount Hebron to pray. And, as he was praying, the appearance of his face was transformed, and his clothes became dazzling white. Jesus showed that he was a member of the Shining Ones. This was a major event in his life, and from the moment of transfiguration, the ministry of the Christ truly started. The fourth initiation is the crucifixion. This is the major initiation where you are willing to give up your body in service to the divine. The good news, or gospel proclaimed by the Christian Church, is that Jesus has already done this for us, so we don't need to do it again. When we get to the fourth initiation, we may find we are able to renounce all worldly aspects of ourselves. This is the action of our bodhisattva, who is in service to the One. The fourth and other initiations are a long way off for most of us, and so there is no point trying to explain them in detail, as they are so way beyond our imagination. Be prepared. This is the famous motto of the Boy Scouts movement. There is an amazing road that connects Somerset West, where I was based when I wrote this book, to Cape Town proper, called the Baden-Powell Drive. It sweeps past the beach next to the two oceans that meet at the Cape of Storms, or, as it is more often referred to as, the Cape of Good Hope. So, this title honours the wisdom of Baden-Powell and the Boy Scout movement. I am a yachtsman, and it becomes patently clear if you have spent any time at sea that the most important quality of an accomplished yachtsman is be prepared for anything that the sea or circumstances can throw at you. Always have your backup plans. Regularly check your gear, including your safety gear. You do not expect to have to use it, and it costs an arm and a leg, safety raft, flares, man overboard kit, wire cutters. So you can cut free the mast and the standing rigging in the event of a dismasting, etc., etc. The point is that it is reckless to go to sea without proper working safety gear, i.e. being prepared. In the same way, being prepared, or BP, is a great strategy to have in life. It is worth being prepared. The kingdom may not appear overnight, but it would be wise for you to be prepared. There are also Paul's advice in his letters like the one to the Thessalonians. In his first letter, he must have given the impression to the followers of Jesus, the early Christians, that the return of Jesus would be in a few days, as some of them had given up work, and presumably spending their time in prayer awaiting the return of the Jesus. Paul had to correct this in Thessalonians 2, in which he says, "The second coming and judgment will appear like a thief in the night. So get ready now, do not put it off to some future date." After reflecting on this chapter, I realized how cool is it that BP Be Prepared is also the initials of the founder of the Boy Scout movement, Baden Powell, BP. I also realized that this advice is so pertinent to the times we live in, that I wrote a chapter on what it might mean to be prepared for the kingdom, Shambhala Warrior. If it was not for the fact that this title is a bit obscure, it is a perfect way of expressing the sense of the painting. To understand why, you need to know the prophecy of the Shambhala Warrior from over years ago. I believe that the prophecy is part of the Kalachakra Tantra. The prophecy is that at the hour of our greatest need, when our future looks to be held by nothing more than a thin thread, the warriors from Shambhala will emerge. This is based on the teachings of Joanna Macy about the Shambhala prophecy. Shambhala is not a place. You do not know who is a Shambhala warrior because they do not wear a uniform or insignia. The Shambhala warriors are courageous beings that are willing to enter the system, dress in dark suits, etc., talk the language, but able to dismantle the weapons of war both externally and internally. The Shambhala warriors know that they will win, as they are not afraid of the system. The Shambhala warriors have two weapons. They are compassion and the insight into the radical interconnectivity at the heart of existence. The Shambhala warriors will march into the corridors of power where the decisions are made, into the military installations and dismantle the weapons that the barbarian powers had made, and bring about the kingdom of Shambhala. Here is a picture of one of the great Tibetan masters, Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, with the Vajra and belt wisdom and compassion, the Jubilee. This name came to me after hearing a beautiful song on YouTube by Michael Card called Jubilee, where he sings, "Jubilee, Jubilee, Jesus is that Jubilee. Debts forgiven, slaves set free. Jesus is our Jubilee." The Jubilee is the name for the year when it is the time for forgiveness. Specifically, debts are forgiven and property returned to the right owners. The idea is based on the number 7. As in Genesis, God creates for 6 days, and on the 7th day, he rests and harvests the fruits from the 6 days of work. Likewise, man works for 6 days and harvests on the 7th. For the Jubilee there are of these periods of years. Times is, and on the 50th year, we are able to harvest the fruits from the previous years. This can be understood on a much higher level according to the Mayan calendar. The explanation for this is given by Robert Hawke in a DVD called The Mayan Calendars, and, according to his interpretation, the periods become eons of time. The first eon is times, billion years, i.e. this theory requires that the universe is billion years old. After of these eons we have the ultimate Jubilee, the harvest of Christed beings which will occur in the near future. It is difficult to explain this in detail as the aeons shrink in length with each iteration. It is best left to watch Robert Hawke explain it in his video. Based on this, we could understand the painting as a picture of the Christed being, the harvest of the Jubilee. Vitruvian Man 2. This name would have recognized the huge debt this painting needs to give to Leonardo da Vinci and his magnus opus, The Vitruvian Man. Please see the chapter on this topic, see chapter. Neo. Another awesome name for the one portrayed in the painting is Neo in the Matrix trilogy. If you have not already spotted it, Neo is an anagram of the One. The Matrix film tells us so much about ourselves. Firstly, that we are living in Wonderland, which is a virtual reality VR. There are 3 levels in the film, Another Trinity: the Matrix or virtual reality world, the machine world, and Zion, the place where the real humans live. The machines are living off the humans who are enslaved in little pods and experience the dream world of the Matrix. The machines live on the energy created by the humans enslaved in the pods. There is a set of DVDs of the 3 Matrix films which include a commentary by Ken Wilber, and others which explains the symbology used in the film. In summary, the machines represent the spirit world, Zion is the lower realm's body, and the Matrix is mental realm which creates the illusion, the virtual reality that we see as the normal world. Do you want to wake up to the truth? Do you take the red or the blue pill? You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. From the Matrix. I included Neo as one of the possible titles as I needed to check which way round the makers of the film had presented the colors. My theory is that the way out of the illusion is through the color blue. In the film, the choice of blue is to stay in the VR, in the Matrix. The red pill allows Neo to go down the rabbit hole and find out who exactly we are and what we are doing here. That we live in the Matrix or VR world borrows heavily from the magnificent work done by Tom Campbell in The Big Toe. So, what came out was that the colors presented in the Matrix film were the wrong way around. The way to hack reality is to concentrate on the color blue, the deepest blue, like the medicine Buddha, and leave behind the red color. The two colors blue and red can also reflect the two poles used to explain electricity. Blue is positive pole and the negative pole is red. Under this understanding, the subtle energy body is a complex set of subtle energy channels that crisscross the body like electric wires. The acupuncture points or meridians become the places where the two wires red and blue cross over. Where there is a major plexus of these connections, we get the major chakras or energy centers. This understanding ties in with the electric universe theory, servant of the kingdom. The kingdom is the kingdom ruled by the anointed king, the King of Kings. It is the kingdom of the soul. Those that live there will be in service to the one, i.e. everyone. There is a beautiful book written by J.M. called The Way of the Servant. This describes the last stage on the path when you surrender to the what is, with the constant wish for the will of God to move the world. I borrowed this name from a course prepared by ETS, Empower to Serve, an organization based in South Africa. The name used by ETS is the Kingdom Faithful Servant Leader. The course describes the process of entering the kingdom of God from a non-denominational perspective. The course is called Kingdom Management. I have attended the introduction course which lays the foundation. Based on this, I thoroughly recommend this course as a practical way to access the kingdom, the Alpha and Omega. As Teilhard de Chardin predicted in his brilliant book The Future of Man, we are approaching the Omega point. As Wikipedia says, Teilhard postulates the Omega point as the supreme point of complexity and consciousness, which in his view is the actual cause for the universe to grow in complexity and consciousness. In other words, the Omega point exists as supremely complex and conscious, transcendent and independent of the evolving universe. Teilhard argued that the Omega point resembles the Christian Logos, namely Christ, who draws all things into himself, who, in the words of the Nicene Creed, is God from God, light from light, true God from true God, and through him all things were made. Homo, Avatar, or just Avatar. I don't know about you, but I was blown away by the film Avatar. Finally, we had a film with extraterrestrial beings that portrayed them as the people we could aspire to, with human beings as the problem. In the film, the avatars were bodies of the indigenous life form, the Na'vi. Human beings can inhabit these avatars and so able to connect and communicate with the Na'vi and other beings living on the planet Pandora. Pandora was stunningly beautiful, but also a bit scary, with big tigers and panthers and all sorts of dangerous creatures, dangerous only to those that were not in touch with the planet. The Na'vi could contact the planet via the biological neural network. As with all these films like Star Wars, it is set in a distant galaxy far, far away, but actually directly relates to our current situation here on Earth. In computer gaming, an avatar is the VR entity that inhabits the computer game that you play. If it is correct that the world is like a VR, then our bodies are like avatars. In a computer games like World of Warcraft, when you level up, you get upgrades to your avatar. So on level 1, you're a bit of a weakling and can only live in the simple, less dangerous areas. When you acquire skills and upgrades, you can defeat big and bigger AI monsters till finally you reach the maximum level and have lots of special abilities and powers. This parallels our situation here. We have been dumbed down and can only live on the lower levels. One day we will be upgraded and we can jump up a level. The upgraded version of a human being could be called Homo avatar level. This is what the painting seeks to portray. The upgraded avatar will have lots of additional abilities. Some of them are listed below. Able to talk to innate. With this power we can self-heal the body. We won't need to go to a doctor to tell us what is wrong. We will just ask the body and it will tell us what is diseased and what we need to do. To self-heal. Direct and clear communication with our divine counterpart, i.e. the great I Am. Ability to read the Akashic record with the sacred neutral skill. Communication at the quantum level. This will allow us to talk to other living beings, including trees and animals. This will be like the moment when Siegfried tasted dragon's blood of the dragon he had just killed. He could listen to the wood birds, who of course warned him about the Rhine maidens, but being Siegfried, he did not listen and went blindly on to his death. Only the female hero Brunhilde was able to redeem the golden ring and its curse. I am a big ring cycle devotee. Wagner's operas are amazing. The ring tells the story of our lust for gold and its curse. Be at home. This will be a big moment when we get this sense of being content and happy wherever we are, because we are always home. We will be connected to our deeper essence, which eventually becomes a knowingness of the I Am. This is all explained in the activation of the strands of DNA. So when we activate all our DNA, we will realize who we are, an avatar inside a virtual reality game. It is the toughest game in the universe. Here is a thought experiment. You have played many games, different scenarios, and become quite an expert, able to win in the toughest God levels. Then someone comes and says to you, I know the hardest game in the universe. It is a multiplayer game where you do not know the rules. There are few guides, and there are a lot of false prophets who will lead you down wrong paths. The objective is unclear, and what is more, everyone has free choice. Do you want to play it? Well, we all signed up for this game. We fell down to being a human being inside our avatar bodysuit and still here trying to figure out the way home, the kingdom within. Fortunately, we have a true and wise guide, Jesus the Christ, who gave us the keys to find our way home. This is the beauty of the game. Somehow or other, the situations arise in our lives to test us, to teach us again and again where we are missing the mark. If we are wise, we learn. If not, the same patterns arise again and again, lifetime after lifetime, until we learn. Ecce Homo. The final name I chose for the book is a direct reference to Jesus the Master. He is the best example of someone living the life of an ascended being as a human here on earth. This is what the painting is all about.